minutes. That's pole. Let's get this right. No fuck-ups.
Hey, I'm Kev Mr. Come on, you'd say crew chief.
Lauren, green.
Don't believe in me. As we're once again, we're in rFactor 2. With the Reiza DLC pack. Let's go towards the first corner, get into first to go rubbing his racing.
Left. Ignore the aero damage, it's nothing.
As we've already damaged the car after one corner, good job. As we're in the Metalmoro AJR.
On your left.
That's all Connor, they've taken a dive. We're holding on, just about. The AJR was successor to Metalmoro MR18, which is also in the Reiza DLC pack from the Brazilian prototype company. And we're around Virginia International Raceway, the full circuit. At 7 AM, we got up early for this 50-minute long race. Seeing as we're in a prototype, we'll go back to the timed race. Let's go around Oak Tree Bend. And unfortunately, there's no Oak Tree now. Who knew putting a big ass oak tree on the inside of a corner was a bad idea? Does take away, unfortunately, from that corner as well. As we go down the long back straight towards the final tricky section. Got someone breaking a straight line downhill into this right-hander. And it will get much lighter this circuit. We've got 5 times the time scale. Well, for a race early in the morning, race with the shadows, with some different sunlight, different time of day. Just see what it's like. So against 100%. Opponent difficulty, 50% aggression, 50% damage multiplier. I'm not doing too badly. In practice, I've been around half a second off the pace, but in this, like, I want to tell the leader. We're liking this Metalmoro.
Flag, watch out. Sector 1 is clear.
At least with the cold tires, everything coming up to temperature. And it will take a few laps for everything to come up to temperature, with it being, as I said, early morning. But I love this left-hander. This is where we gain time. Think about making a move as well. God, that's so tricky, that double right. Just keeping the car balanced, keeping the rotation and momentum through that tight right-hander for this back straight. As you can see, that's where we're losing a few tenths as well. Using second instead of first. I've used first. I spin right round on the exit, so that's why we're using second. But I am loving this AJR car. I have also practiced with the MR18, you'll see that as well. That's the older version of this prototype, and that MR18 is made more for consumers as well. If you actually go to the Metalmoro website, hasn't been updated for a couple of years in its site, but you can still like road test.
Keep hitting your marks. This is
you get a quote for the MR18. So if anyone's got a few thousand, dollars around, I'll call Metalmoro up, see if we can get my prototype career going. I mean, I have to learn Portuguese as well. Yeah, I could start taking part in the Brazilian Endurance Championship. And this is where this car, the AJR, takes part in now, overtaking that MR18. And it's like it's got a pretty healthy prototype class as well. This AJR and the Ginetta G57. And the Ginetta was actually developed as a PT prototype. Weighing around 900 kilograms with a Chevy V8 in the back, mid-engined. Well, this AJR wasn't really built to those regulations. It's got to be slightly different, but rival those P2 cars for a fraction of the price. We outbrake ourselves. Good job. It came about as we were further away through the race, I'd say a couple of years ago, from Metalmoro, and it was actually tested powered by a Honda K20 turbo engine, producing around 550 brake horsepower. Let's go, that first corner is so treacherous. You're like tippy-toeing around it. But then when it started racing, it raced with the Chevy, which I'm racing with in this version. But then you also get versions with the Judd V10 and also a PowerTech V8 as well. So in the PowerTech and the Chevy are the best engines. Judd is decent, of course, in a straight line, especially. And in the Honda, it's the only turbo option, a bit different to drive. Especially as someone who's not very good at driving with turbos, admittedly. Probably the weakest option out of the four that you get to choose from in this DLC pack, like you did in Automobilista as well. You got those 4 different versions of this Metalmoro AJR. So that is fantastic that you get, you know, different driving experiences, even though it's with the same car. Like I said, this car did race beginning in 2017, around the 3 hours of Tarumba. That's how you say it. Of course it won. And it seems to do very well in the Brazilian Endurance Championship. It's in the P class along with the Ginettas, a couple of Ginettas. It's mostly AJRs. In the opening round of the 4 hours of Curitiba,
the lap time was 1:41.8.
they had earlier this year, I think it was like 6 AJRs, a couple of Ginettas, then they had a couple in the P2 class and the P3s as well. There was even an MR18 as well in the race. And then they've got the GT classes as well. Got GT3, GT4. I think GT3 class actually split in 2 as well.
Halfway home, fuel's good.
So despite only having 20 cars on the grid, you got healthy kind of classes, differences, healthy competition, mainly in the P class between these AJRs. And of course AJR won as well the race. Qualified in pole 2 as wide. Downforce saved us there. So we're matching the leader, but not really catching them, unfortunately. So we had a bit more battling, but he started 3rd on this 20 car grid. And so the AJR, as I said, it's similar to that Ginetta, but Ginetta weighs 900 kilograms. This just weighs 820 kilograms. It doesn't have as powerful an engine at the beginning. The Honda produced around 550.
Air temp is now 28. Track temperature's now 28 Celsius.
But they just had difficulty getting it to work, basically, at Honda. That's why they switched to the Chevy. A bit more reliable. Then it also has the gearbox, the same used in an MP3.
Great stuff. Keep it coming, mate. Me too.
And then LMP2 brakes, which isn't really showing at the moment. So the leader is really getting away from us. Now in practice we're doing high 39, so a couple seconds off the pace. That's probably what the leader's doing at the moment. And here we've got someone right on our tail. That is how you're meant to take that S's. So yeah, a fantastic car to drive. Definitely an upgrade from the MR18. They said it's more made for racing, this prototype for high class racing, made to rival MP2s on a fraction of the budget, and I think it definitely does. Like I was practicing with the MR18, and the MR18 feels the rear is definitely a bit more unstable. Actually, with the default setups, the rear is very unstable. So for this setup, what I'm using at the moment, I just raised that rear ride height a bit and made the springs a bit softer as well, because this track's a bit more bumpier in sections, so if you want to ride the curves like I do.
5 minutes remaining. P1, come on, bring it home.
P1? Got that wrong, crew chief. That's all that section, so beautiful, that last section going down here and forth. And so yeah, you got that bit more downforce, so the rear's a bit more stable in this car. Like,
Just done a 142.2.
like on the MR18, trying to get this car out of the corners sometimes is very difficult. With this, you know, just apply the power smoothly. Definitely acts like a normal prototype. I'd be very interested to see how it compares to the MP3 and MP2, which they also have in rFactor 2. Because they released that with the Endurance Pack a few months ago. Well, they've got the normal MP3, and I believe it's a ElusiveKev MP2 they've got. So, might try and race these head to head and see what happens. Because I'm not sure it can quite match the ElusiveKev. But you never know in the virtual world. His front tyres are cold, that's great. Definitely want to take curb on the entrance of the fast corner. Good job. As he's just got a couple of laps to go. So yeah, the Metalmoro, the AJR, definitely a fun car to drive if you like your prototypes. Like a more higher downforce cars, like around this circuit as well, Virginia International Raceway. Definitely do love Virginia International Raceway. Like this section as well, emphasising that downforce, trying to get on the power so early. But in for the S's as well, it may be flat out, but it's just fun driving this car around here.
Sectors 1 and 3 are fast. They're a tenth off the pace in sector 2.
And this car is much quicker than the MR18 around 5 to 7 seconds, from what I can tell. They're trying to push to get into the 130s with this car, low 40s. But the MR18, it's trying to push into the high 40s. So it could be up to 10 seconds depending on how good you are. But I'll definitely show off the MR18 as well, show you
Temperatures are looking good.
for the evolution of 4 years basically for Metalmoro. With slightly different aims as well. Like this being a full out prototype and one that's nice as well, but just a bit more, as I said, unstable, especially with that rear end. The MR18 trying to get the power down out of corners can be very tricky compared to this. And there are more layouts with the Virginia International Raceway. You've got the grand layout where you turn right there and you've got a bit of a tricky section. And then you've got this where the circuit gets kind of split in half, so you've got on a couple shorter circuits as well.
You've got half your fuel left.
So definitely overfueled for this race. And the sounds of it, we're doing around 10 laps when I thought it would be maybe 11 or 12, so
Last lap, bring it on home. We're setting the pace.
we're actually catching back up to the leader. Fortunately a bit too late to win. We found our rhythm, as you can see it's nice and clear and bright now. And what a pleasure this combo is. All of the combos so far have been fantastic. So around Imola, the last track I got to show off. Might show off the Formula V, the 70s layout. Then, as I said, show off the MR18 with the modern layout. And now I've got the old Puma to show off, and I'm not sure. I'll show it off maybe, as I say, through one of the turn layouts around here. So you can see all of the pieces of content in this pack. Once again, not been disappointed, Reiza. Not been disappointed rFactor 2 either. bit disappointed with this race. I thought we'd have more battling, but there's a feisty first corner and then that was it. And with these prototypes round here, would have warned if you do start a bit lower down the pack. Opponents can, with my settings, can be a bit harsh at times. They can just cut you off. But you can have some good racing like we had on that first corner for a whole of that round. There are multiple passing spots.
Kev, great win. You deserved that today.
Oh, apparently I won. Okay. Did the guy in front get a penalty? As he set a 40.2, fastest lap on the final lap as well. Not quite into the 39s that I wanted to aim for. But I hope that showed off the AJR as well as they do in the Brazilian Endurance Championship. Round a circuit which I wish we saw more racing around it. I know IMSA race round here. And you got the GT3 Challenge Cup, is it now called? They keep changing the name. It was Pirelli World Challenge. You got that round here. We've got a couple of other GT series. But yeah, I wish we just saw more racing around this fabulous circuit. I'll be back with more Reiza DLC content, as I described earlier, and show off Imola. The last track to show off from this pack, and I'll be back as well with maybe some racing as well. They've released the Group C cars now. Let's unleash ourselves with that and destroy our feet. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.